believe me when I say the irony is not lost on me that I did a video of the original Goblin Slayer and had Grimmjack guest star in it. But in the video where I cover Goblin Slayer Abridged, it's just gonna be me. And to be honest, I think it works. I have nothing but good things to say about the Abridged series. Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart and welcome back to the world of Goblin Slayer. And no, I will not be attempting to match his voice and energy. This is part 2 of our look into Abridged characters. Last week we took a look at Kirito from Sword Art Online Abridged, so check that out after this video is done if you're not quite ready to leave the fun world of abridging. Last week I credited SAO Abridged as what I consider to be the finest Abridged series, and that is because they fixed many of the fundamental writing problems with the show that I and many others had with the series. This week I've chosen to cover Goblin Slayer, not because the show needed fixing, but because I think it's one of the most faithful in adapting what makes Goblin Slayer such a compelling character without sacrificing the spirit of the show itself. It managed to achieve all of this while drastically changing the personality of the main hero. Unfortunately, way too many comments in my Goblin Slayer video upset that I had a guest who claimed to be Goblin Slayer but wasn't actually him. Goblin Slayer in the series proper is very calm, calculating, thoughtful, and clever person. He is a man racked with personal suffering, anguish, and a desire to help while still being weird and straight to the point. In the show proper, he is the textbook definition of weaponized autism. It's genuinely quite endearing. I say this as being married to a woman I would also describe as concentrated weaponized autism. I say this with love, trust me. Abridged Goblin Slayer, however...
I took on a goblin as my wife, my magical squirrel, and I'm a menace? A goblin slaying menace? Get back into my dojo! My goblin slaying dojo!
Is that. Goblin Slayer is that. He has the exact same backstory as the original Goblin Slayer, and he was just a normal kid born to a small village that was attacked by goblins. His sister was violated and murdered right in front of him, and he trained under Araya and sought out to kill goblins as both revenge and as a mean to protect others. He is just a little teeny bit rambunctious, however. Goblin Slayer at the beginning of the Abridged series works for the Adventurers Guild and does exactly what his name suggests.
Slay goblin!
However, I don't think in good consciousness I can label this version as lawful good. I think I need to call this guy at the beginning of the series as chaotic good. We see him do too many reckless things without as much regard to human life as the original one. He rarely goes out of his way to save innocent women as he did in the original. However, the one thing that will be fun is that we can compare and contrast the original Goblin Slayer video I did back in December of 2020. I have copied beat for beat every single alignment action that the original Goblin Slayer did back in my 2022 video. Based on Goblin Slayer's new personality, actions, and motivations, we will see a side-by-side comparison and check to see if they approach the same destination as the original one did. This token will represent what the original Goblin Slayer did, and this token will represent our new, sillier Goblin Slayer. I think this will actually be a fun comparison. I hope you guys like this experiment. But with that out of the way, let's go.
Before we begin, Editor James here to give you all an update on the complete Waifu Handbook.
Oh, you're funded, by the way.
I'm funded?
Yeah, you're
Oh
funded.
my god, we did it! Oh my god, thank you so much. Funded in 30 minutes. Holy shit. Holy shit, we did it. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you, best chat. Thank you, my chat. Thank you, VIPs. Thank you, everybody.
We've already reached our first 4 stretch goals as well. What started as a 4 Funsies Valentine supplement quickly evolved into one of Stuart's most passionate projects. Thank you so much for your support, and if you'd like a hard or soft cover of our book, follow the link in the description or the pinned comment and help our Kickstarter today. With that out of the way, enjoy the rest of the video.
Slayer.
Goblin.
Check out my new shoes. They're the brand new. 1, 2, buckle my shoe.
Where are the goblins at? Oh, there you are. Nope, try better!
Much like in the show proper, Goblin Slayer appears and saves the day. Only this time with a personality change. The Abridged series is not subtle in showing how unhinged this particular Goblin Slayer is. It's funny how a change of attitude can change what was originally a neutral good action into a chaotic one. Still chaotic good for putting a suffering human out of their misery, though.
Baby goblins!
Disgusting, isn't it? These godless wretches multiply like insects, and I'm the exterminator.
I'd also argue that killing goblin babies in this particular setting is still lawful good. The one thing Grimmjack absolutely made sure to do was keep the fact that goblins are all evil. You can tell by the goblin hero in episode 7 that they still have no mercy, even as children. Lawful good.
I'm an accountant now. They call me the Money Man. Ka-ching.
Huh. I remember you not really being into mathematics.
In this continuity, Goblin Slayer is not truthful with Cowgirl or her father about his job and insists that he is earning money through boring means.
Alright, I'm done. Stay dead.
The village! The children! Everything is on fire!
I'm not particularly wild about this change, but when Goblin Slayer attacked the overtaken Elven Fortress, he at first offered a truce with the goblins, allowing them to live in peace if they don't goblinate anything. But a goblin threw a rock at him, so he burninated the tree, which set fire to a nearby town, to which Goblin Slayer offers no duty of care towards afterwards. Yeah, this is the funny version, but I feel this was an unnecessary change, so chaotic neutral.
Distinct individuals has requested your presence in our meeting room. They're waiting for you presently.
Does it have to do with goblins?
I didn't ask, because I don't care.
Goblin Slayer meets with the new party and has an incredibly hard time focusing and staying on task. Thankfully, Dwarf figured out a way to keep him focused, and they barely form a party and leave. Even on the road, Goblin Slayer barely considers anyone but Priestess his party member. Chaotic good.
Like that. Came here to do that.
Thank you.
I don't do this for thanks. This is a thankless job. But thank you for saying thank you. I really appreciate the thanks.
Rescuing random elf woman is still neutral good.
Oh, merciful Earth Mother, please make our sneaky deed even sneaky deakier. Silence.
However, after slaying all the goblins, the ogre appears and Goblin Slayer handles him exactly like he did in the show proper, by doing his goddamn job. Lawful good. You know what, give it a nat 20 scene, I don't care.
This is the story of the coolest adventuring party of all time. The group that dealt with all the problems no one else would take on. They rode alone through the darkest caverns, and everyone in the city slept well because of Poop Patrol!
In episode 3, Goblin Slayer helps Poop Patrol figure out how to slay goblins when he doesn't have his weapon. He gives them some good advice, though they did have to trick him and pretend they needed advice on goblins and not to slay rats and bugs. Still gonna say lawful good though.
But in time, I integrated. I took on a goblin as my wife, despite the fact there are no goblin women. Worked my way up the chieftain.
So this was completely made up for the Abridged series. I'm not sure if this event was real or an hallucination Goblin Slayer had, but we'll count this as chaotic good. What?
Hey lady! You the Sword Maiden?
Goblin Slayer, don't be rude! I'm so sorry, Sword Maiden.
Oh, I'm not the Sword Maiden.
Also, just like in the show proper, Goblin Slayer appears with his party before the Sword Maiden. She explains the town's goblin problems. The quest was accepted, Goblin Slayer Jr. was purchased, they encounter a dire crocodile, kill a ton of goblins, and had a nat 20 fight scene that I swear the Abridged series actually kind of pulled off a little bit better than the actual show. Bravo, Grimmjack team. Nat 20 scene and lawful good.
Oh, her role was minimal. The ritual required a 25,000 gold piece diamond, which the church provided, my casting services, which are always free for you, and the presence of a virgin.
Goblin Slayer is resurrected and flirted with by Sword Maiden, whose advances are rejected. After putting his armor back on, Goblin Slayer immediately wants to go back out, but is forced by the party and Priestess to take the day off and go on a platonic friend date. They share their feelings, get ice cream, and Goblin Slayer kinda defends Priestess's honor here from this creepy shopkeeper. That or he legitimately just recognizes a good deal when he sees one. Never pass up a free fitting if you can avoid it. Neutral good.
Back at it again in the sewers, killing some goblins!
Well, it seems like you're back to tip-top shape.
The next day, they're back in the sewers killing goblins. Totally not beholders, and of course, more goblins. They detonate the sewers, and using a gated mirror to protect themselves, this normally would result in a lawful good like it did in the show proper, but apparently this did devastating damage to the town itself, and Goblin Slayer did nothing to help fix it with any follow-up care, so technically chaotic good.
Goblins who assassinate women indiscriminately. their prey wouldn't be so lucky as to bleed out in the sewers.
Also, while we're going to give credit to the Abridged series for fixing various problems with the show proper, the conversation between the Abridged Sword Maiden and Abridged Goblin Slayer is a lot less confusing. In the Abridged series, the Sword Maiden deliberately avoids asking for any other help in slaying the goblins because she felt that having the world's greatest Goblin Slayer nearby might help relieve her goblin-related PTSD. Abridged Slayer actually takes offense to this in the Abridged series, expressing the nobility of his cause and why he does what he does. He puts Sword Maiden down hard, but offers to slay the goblins in her dreams for her in the future. Chaotic good.
Oh, did you hear? The hero killed the Demon Lord!
Yeah, we know. Thanks.
Now that the Demon Lord is dead and the goblins are nearly wiped out, Goblin Slayer is left to stew in his own thoughts now that he can't distract himself with work. Jesus Christ, how relatable. Anyway, he spends the whole day helping out Cowgirl while also trying to prevent the town and his friends from finding out about her. He debates with himself that he should retire in a surprisingly good internal dialogue.
Take a break. Don't quit. Take a break. Don't quit.
Yeah, let's give him a nat 20. And then he finds the Goblin Horde. 2 chaotic good dings for these episodes.
Oh, on like a trip? That sounds fun! How long are we gonna be gone for?
Anytime between forever and ever.
Upon discovery of the Goblin Horde, Goblin Slayer tries to get Cowgirl to leave, admittedly willing to leave her uncle behind. However, upon her refusal, in a very sweet scene, Goblin Slayer elects to go to the guild and ask for help. Realizing that adventurers want paid for their work, he offers everything that he's worth, from his property to his gold and even his name. Eventually, the entire guild agrees to help once the owner accidentally offers a whole gold piece per goblin head when they return. Just like in the show, this is lawful good.
Any second now. Those rookies will ask me to join the fray. Got my old adventurer's bull mask ready to go.
While the rest of the cast of colorful characters take on the bulk of the Goblin army, Goblin Slayer tracked down the main nest and killed every last goblin as well as cut off the retreat from the Goblin Lord. Between him and Priestess, they were able to kill the Goblin Lord, save the farm and the town. Lawful good.
Oh?
It's yours. You did all the work to kill that Goblin Lord. You earned it.
And as promised, he gave Priestess the gold piece for killing the Lord and took off his helmet as her quest reward. Lawful good.
Whoa! Is that Goblin Slayer with his helmet off? This is bullshit!
I mentioned in my intro that I think Goblin Slayer Abridged is arguably one of the most faithfully adapted Abridged series that still drastically changed the personality of the main character. You can see by this alignment wheel, though, that Grimmjack and his team set out to create the funny Goblin Killer, but they did so with complete understanding on why our boy does what he does. Basically, every single character in this show is the same as the original. Priestess is still a naive, albeit much sassier, well-meaning teenager. Elf Archer is still a somewhat arrogant adventurer. Dwarf is a drunk, and Lizard Priest... Okay, they changed him quite a bit, but he's still kind of a big dumb muscle sort of character. The worlds are nearly identical in danger, tone, and motivations, but the spirit of the series is still there. Your main hero is a deeply, and I mean deeply, flawed man whose single goal is to serve the lives of those without money. He takes on the dirty jobs because no one else will. He's seen in this world as a garbage man, no more valuable than pest control. He's a silver rank who's not even respected by the newbies. He smells, and he's too mentally weird for people to invest their time in. But that doesn't matter to him because he knows what it's like to have nothing but still be in peril. Goblin Slayer Abridged isn't the original, but it understands its characters and series and treats it with the respect it deserves, while still lovingly poking fun at it. I immensely respect Grimmjack and his team for creating a funny, but still kinda heartwarming show about this fucking weirdo who just kills goblins. Thank you to the patrons, and I'll see you all next time.